Hi there, this is Becca with Amazing Paper Grace, and I have something really cool to show you today. And if you stick around, I actually have an extra bonus bit. So today what I'm showing you is how to take one of these linear border punches and make a fully filled in 360-degree border around your card. I did it on a card earlier this week, and a lot of you asked me how I did this. So let's see how. Now this is the card that I have on my blog today, and that's the technique that I use to make this border. So the punch that I'm using today is an EK Success punch, but this is a technique that you can do with any of the border punches, and I'll show you how. Let's start out with this particular punch. Now, if you'll look at this punch, you'll see that there are two different tick marks. Well, that on this particular punch shows you where your punch actually begins. So through a little bit of trial and error, I figured out exactly the size of paper I needed, and I figured out where I needed to start. So we need to make a notation on our punch. So if you will take a ruler and you want to measure 1/4 of an inch on the outside of either of these tick marks. I usually do the left side, but it's up to you which side you do. So match that up with the 1/4 of an inch mark, and then take a pencil or something that can erase, and you're going to make a little tick mark. So we're all set to go with this particular punch, but what if you wanted to do this with another punch? Well, if you have any other border punch, what you're going to do is you need to find out where your punch begins. So you'll take a scrap sheet of paper and you're going to turn your punch upside down, and you're going to move your paper until it's just off to the side, not visible. And then you're going to mark that. That is going to mark where your punch begins. Of course, like I said, on these particular punches, it's already marked for you. If it's not, then mark it and then come back and measure 1/4 of an inch to the outside of that, and then you're good to go. So let's try this out. Through trial and error, I figured out that what you need is a 4" by 4" piece of cardstock. Or you can also use a 4" by 6½ of cardstock. Both of these are going to give you sizes that are good for a card. So let's see how this works out. I'm going to put my paper in, and I'm going to line it up with that mark, and then I'm going to punch. And then I'm going to rotate it and line up by that new mark that we've made and punch. And then I'm going to line it up and one more time. And these techniques leave you an area in the center that you can put your sentiment. So this is the 4" by 4", and this is the 4" by 6½ . So wasn't that easy? So I hope that you're able to take your EK Success punches, your Martha Stewart punches, any other linear kind of punch, and you should be able to make this work for you. So let's get on to the second part of the bit. Several of you have written to ask about the card size I use. My cards are usually 6" by 6", or they are 7 inches tall by 5 inches wide, or 7½ inches tall by 5½ inches wide. So I often get the question, where do I find 14 or 15" paper? And I'm going to show you. I usually use an 8½ by 11" sheet of paper for a 7 by 5 card base, or for a 7½ by 5½ card base. I simply will cut it in half. And after I cut it in half, I'll take one side and set it to the side, and on the other side I score it 1 inch, and then I'll put score tape, and then I'll fold. Well, then I'll remove the score tape, and I'll marry it together at the top. This gives me room to trim my bottom so that I have even ends, and then also sometimes I do cut down from the side. so it gives me a card base that looks like this. Well, yeah, you're going to wonder what I do with the seam on the inside. And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't bother me at all. So most of the time, the seam is right behind the front of my card. Other times, I will flip it over and I'll either take a die cut and put it there for something decorative to hide that, or most of the time I have a decorative sheet of paper that I've border punched at the bottom it's a liner sheet so that I can write my sentiment. I rarely write it on the card itself. And so that's how I actually get the card base. This is one of the most comfortable sizes of card for me, and so that's how I get it and still not have to buy extra big paper. And I normally use the same cardstock anyway, which is one of the Neenah Classic Crest, either Solar White or Cream. So now you know. So thank you so much for stopping by to see me at Amazing Paper Grace, and I will see you soon.